Hello there, it's April the 27th, 2009, and I'm going to talk about the Twilight Saga. Right, so about, God knows how many months ago, probably about 3 months ago or something, I don't know, whenever it was on in the cinema, I went to see the film Twilight. Didn't see anything about it much before I actually went to see it. Had a vague idea, but very vague. Didn't really know. Now you're probably going to think I'm so naive that it was about vampires. But anyway, went to see it. Absolutely loved it. Has become my favourite film of all time. Has shone all my Star Trek films that I absolutely adore. So that was the Twilight film. So then I thought, right, okay, I've seen the film. I think it's time I read the books, because I was told to read Twilight, the book, because it was better than the film. So I thought, okay, fine. So I went to the shop and I bought the Twilight book, but I also bought the New Moon book at the same time, as well as the Eclipse. Then, probably about a week later, I found out that there was a fourth book, which was, Breaking Dawn. So I had all four books. I started reading Twilight, and do you know what? It was on par with the film. I actually thought, despite the fact there was a few scenes that they didn't put in, or not scenes, a few extra bits that they didn't put in, I thought all in all that Twilight itself was a brilliant book and a brilliant film. One I'm glad to own. So that was that one, and I completed that within a week. Now, coming from a dyslexic point of view, a lot of people have told me when I've been saying I've been reading Twilight books, oh, they're a bit amateurish. And I actually think, no, they're not amateurish. They're just very easy to read. They are based for teenagers, but they're very, very easy to read. And I've read teenage books before, and they can be quite complicated. So from a dyslexic point of view, Stephanie Meyer, you are amazing. I'm absolutely amazed. Thank you, because I've actually enjoyed reading this book. So I moved on from that, and I moved to New Moon. Now, I'm really looking forward to this new film coming up in November for England, because I've obviously read the book now first, so it's going to be interesting to see how much they leave in and stuff like that. So, New Moon, fantastic. The whole sort of spoilers for everybody. The whole sort of Edward leaving Bella, and Bella sort of becoming very close friends with Jacob, and his relationship with her sort of blossoming and coming into the fore really, and the whole book about that. And then obviously at the end with Edward going to, because he thinks that Bella's killed herself, wants to go and kill himself. So basically it's a whole sort of swings and roundabouts with that one. So I really like this book. It was very good, and yet again an easy book to read, so congratulations to Stephanie Meyer for doing that one. And then I went to Eclipse, and this I liked because this was you had the character Victoria back in the book. I mean, she was mentioned in Blue Moon, but not prominent. You knew that she was circling around Forks. You knew she was there. She just wasn't sort of able to get in. So basically, the third one, it's all about the battle to save Bella and actually to kill the vampire Victoria and her army of vampires that she creates, that are wreaking havoc in other places around Forks. So, Eclipse, yet again, a book I could read, and I read this within a week, roughly. And, a book that thick, for me to read in a week, is unheard of. I mean, going back to a previous book I've read, another, not even related, Alistair Reynolds' Redemption Arc. That, I mean, you see the similarities, right? Alistair Reynolds is a scientist. He's a British scientist, works for the has worked for the space agency and all that kind of thing. He writes like a scientist would, full of complicated words, full of words I don't understand. It's a good book. He's a very good writer. This is the second book I've bought of his. But it takes me probably a couple of days to read, 4 pages. It takes me a couple of days to read something like that. Whereas all these Twilight books take me no time whatsoever. So anyway, so that was Eclipse, and I absolutely adored Eclipse. Brilliant. So that was that one. And then you're thinking, okay, so what could possibly go wrong? So anyway, you get the fact that in the beginning of Breaking Dawn, Bella and Edward actually do get married, and she goes off on a honeymoon. And what happens is, basically, she falls pregnant, which none of them knew or realised that could happen. So, and she had a craving for eggs, which was quite funny. So anyway, so rush out Bella back to Forks, and it then sort of goes to Jacob and Jacob's words and Jacob's point of view. And he, at this point, is very sort of angry. He knows that Bella's probably going to come back, in his eyes, dead, basically a vampire. So he goes off in an angry sort of spree and goes to the Cullens' house to confront them and to actually just basically try and kill as many of them as possible, because he's so angry that the person he loves is, dead. Only to find that she's not. She's there, and that she's pregnant. And they all start off not liking the fact that she's pregnant and not knowing what's inside her. Obviously, as soon as Renesmee is born and Bella is saved by Edward, they all fall in love with Renesmee and her wonderful sort of ambience sort of wins them all over, including Jacob, who bonds with Renesmee. So that was quite a twist. As somebody who doesn't like the idea of bonding with somebody actually bonds, and he has a love for Renesmee that means that he likes to make sure that she's protected and that she's fine, and she's a little girl, she needs protecting, I mean, even though she's like half vampire, she's still vulnerable. So that was that one, and then it goes back, so it's obviously back to Bella's side of the story, and next you get the, I don't know how you pronounce them, the Voltroi from Italy. They come along and they want to, because they've heard about this person, this child, and they don't like the idea of it because they think it's an immortal child, only to find out that it's not. And you find a really fantastic thing at the end of the book, which I love, and it's Bella and her immunity to people's mind onslaughts to her mind. She finds out that she can actually project it out, and she basically creates a shield. I love that. So anyway, I'm waffling on, but Breaking Dawn, I finished it last night, probably about 5:30 in the afternoon, and I'm actually quite gutted that I finished it because it was so good. So Breaking Dawn. So anyway, anyone who thinks that Twilight's a bit amateurish, I totally disagree. I think Twilight series of books is amazing. It's easy to read. It's one of those books where you can just sit down, read. You don't have to think about what you're reading. You don't have to analyse it over and over again. You just read it, and it's a story. It's like it's an uncomplicated movie kind of a thing. It's brilliant. I love it. So I can't wait for them to hopefully make all 4 books into films. We know they're going to do New Moon, so that's brilliant. I just hope they do the rest, because it would just be really, really good. So I shall leave it there, and until next time, see you there.